Hello, people. How are we doing today? You guys can hear me okay?
Good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir, we can hear. I can hear you.
All right. Okay. All right. Welcome again, everyone. Yes, we're at this again for hopefully the last time. Right? Okay. Um all right. So, firstly, um just to make sure everybody that's here know, you were here last week, right? So we discussed some options with timing. Everybody got an update with the new class times because there were a few people that contacted me on Wednesday, right? So just for an update, there is no Wednesday classes. There is only class on a Monday. And it's going to be from 3 to 5. And then we take a 1 hour break and then we'll come back from 6 again. All right. All right. Is this news
Yes,
to
sir.
everybody here? Nope.
No, I want to say yes, sir. First confirming the time that we were saying.
All right, cool. Cool. All right, so let's get things started. Last time some person saw the video that was on the computing website, and that video we usually use to get kicked off. I use it as a kickoff video. So let's take a look on it now. Before we do, let me make sure that the audio is good. All right, cool. Okay, so everybody, this is an audio test. Everybody could hear the music and everything, right? You could hear audio playing just now, right?
Most definitely, sir.
All right, cool. All right. So I want you guys to check out this video, right? It's not it. I should just give a heads up. It's not the video about like cutting edge 3D, the latest in 3D technology, right? But I want you to just give it a watch, and then we're going to talk about it in just a bit. There's going to be a lot of video watching in this course, by the way, right? A lot of movies and stuff like that. So let's get things kicked off. Oops. How about we do that and share the screen? All right, that would be great, right? If we could see what I'm actually showing you. Yeah. All right, let's go again. right. So what do you guys think of that video? Let me play it without sound so that you can kind of see it. Anybody?
So the very creative video, sir. You know,
Not
there
very
has a
creative.
lot of transition in it as well. So a lot of transition,
All
lot of
right.
lot of close up as well, close up
All right.
shots, the
Cool.
highlighted
Hmm.
features, like a lot of features in it.
All right, cool. Anybody else?
Same,
Any
sure. I
thoughts?
like the transitions.
All right. So this type of video, this is from Neoscape. Neoscape is still around. I'm just realizing that this module, I think I have taught more than maybe 8 years or something, right? But I don't remember what year this video came in, right? But it's a fairly very old video, but it still kind of holds up. You can still see it's about architectural visualization, right? This is what you call a show reel, right? And it's basically Neoscape, which is a company that does primarily architectural visualization. They are showing the type of jobs that they do, the kind of work that they do, and that kind of stuff. All right. So it's fairly straightforward. Most companies nowadays have a show reel. And trust me, a lot of them is probably even more modern than this, right? Because this is from like 2016 or something, right? So it's kind of old. But there is something interesting um about this video. Yes, it is showing like the different works that they work on. But one of the things that we're going to look on in this module is going to be how do we give meaning to it? So if you watch the video on and on again, there is a kind of a story that it is saying. And maybe the first time it's all flashy and everything, so we don't really get the story. But there is a thread that goes through all the different footages and everything that you're seeing to kind of tie everything together. Can anybody identify what that thread is?
So is it that red thing I always see pop up, sir?
Aha,
I don't know.
Archibald.
That
Good
red thing,
guess.
sir. I always see it,
Right.
and I don't really see the reasons for it, sir. What is that? Yeah, that same little red something there, like I don't know if that thumb
Right.
driver or something. Seems
Well,
to have
that's
some
good.
form of meaning to it.
It's good that you notice it. Is there anybody else that notices? Let me get the opinion of some persons. And as usual, say I usually call name already, right? Right. So let's get things kicked off with Krishania. What do you think? What is this red thing that's percolating throughout the video? Any thoughts, Krishania? Hello? Is Louis here? Is Miss Louis in? No? No? No, not yet. Okay, well, Miss Lewis comes aboard. Janelle,
Yes, sir.
what do you think is happening with this red thing that, you know?
Uh, so I'm wondering if it's probably something to do, something like a logo, or if
Mm-hmm.
it's like a symbol for either the building or probably the architect who designed it. So I guess
Okay.
yeah, I feel like it has something to do with the company or tying with like some logo or something.
All right. Good plan. Yep. I'll give you some points towards that because as you get to the end of the video, what do you notice about that red thing there when we get close to the end? Is it? Anybody else have any thoughts? How about Manika? Any thoughts, Monica?
For me, I think the red thing from the start to the end, as you know, said, I think it's a logo, but I think it goes to show that whatever the logo is or that the company is ties to it, everything that was done throughout the whole video edit. It's like a representation in a way.
All right, cool. Yes, we're getting warmer. We're getting warmer. We're getting warmer. Um, sure. Any thoughts? Any thoughts from Brittany? No? No? Brittany, not here? You're here in spirit? Brandon? Any thoughts? What? Brandon is here in spirit too. Who is here in person and not in spirit?
Excuse me, sir. I'm actually in the class. However, I stepped out for a few seconds and I didn't see the video entirely, so I can't give
Oh,
a
okay.
proper review, sir.
Okay. Well, it's on repeat here. So we'll pick up a couple of things. You know, and this is what I'm getting at. We're gonna look a little bit on story. We're gonna look on how do we add, so sometimes we call it special sauce. How do we add that additional thing in our architectural presentation to let somebody question? So like you would watch this video and it's like, oh, cool, we have graphics and everything. But then there is another story. There's another layer to this video that's happening in the background, right? And some persons might notice it right off the bat, but other persons might, you know, after a while they say, hold on, what's this red thing going on here? And then at the end, we see where it just kinds of forms the logo,
Sir,
right?
sir, I think I'm gonna figure out what is, is it a
All right.
like a subliminal message, sir? Like
Mm-hmm.
letting them, so basically the company Netscape
Mm-hmm.
because they just put it in there to show that it's them, but in the end now we
Mm-hmm.
finally like show and say okay it's Netscape. We in the end say pan out and spell the name Netscape.
Right.
I think it's like a subliminal message in the video.
Exactly. And I like to call it a story. I mean, subliminal message, okay, I guess so, right? But it is a story. It is what they're trying to say. They're trying to tie all of this footage together. And in a way, they're trying to say, hey, we are in all of these things. You know, these are all the things we do. You see this picture here? Oh, that's Neoscape. Neoscape is here. Oh, you see this animation here? Oh, Neoscape is here. But also, um, if you look even at the beginning where the red thing is starting to form, you know what I mean? I mean, you know, it's starting to come together. And every time there's like a little clip that shows it putting together, it's coming together and forming. And then um notice that it is also placed, yes, in 3D. Let me pause it here. It is placed in 3D, but also, can anybody tell me what do they think this image is? What is this a picture of?
So their office space.
Exactly. So interspersed with all of the works that they do, there's also footage of the people who are working on it, you know, and this red element kind of ties both of them together, right? Right. So, I mean, you know, you can see the sticky notes and you can see the pens and the pens, you know, you can see the little figurines, Hello Kitty. It's like, okay, this is somebody's, they are real human beings behind this work. Right. So what I'm trying to get is that coming out of advanced computing to, you know, before, you know, maybe we're showing some works that we're doing, maybe we're working on a project, maybe it's a final project or something, and you might put some maybe a slideshow together or a video or even an animation of your design. But in addition to just showing your work, you also want to have a story, right? Archibald called it a subliminal message, but I like to call it a story. And that is the special sauce of what you're trying to show, right? And that is really something that sets apart just random footage from a planned kind of footage. To have a kind of story that goes with what you're showing. And that is exactly the heart of what we're going to be looking on in advanced computing too. Not just with videos and animation, but we're going to kind of break it down so that anything that you produce in architecture, it will have this story to it. And the story doesn't have to be something that is non-fictional. It could be an imaginary thing, but we're going to learn how to look a little bit deeper. And more importantly, what advanced computing is going to do, we're going to borrow a little bit from different industries. When you see this video put together and this show reel, a lot of it could be inspired from movies, from video games, from cartoons. You know, it's a combination of other fields that's not necessarily solely architecture, but yet architecture can use it to promote whatever the message is. In this case, the message is showing, hey, this is the work we do. They show a little bit of compositing, how they composite different scenes together. They show a little bit of animation, but they also show the people who work on the stuff as well, and they tie it all together in a nice kind of package, and they put music to it and make it look really good. So now that you know this additional information, I want us to watch it again with this additional information now to kind of absorb everything that they're trying to show in this video. All right, so let's take a look on that again. All right. Okay. So I'm hoping that all of us will create some nice videos like this for our ending project. That would be pretty cool, right? And usually persons end up creating interesting videos, right? Speaking of that, let's take a look on what we do here in advanced computing tool. All right. All right, you guys can see the screen okay and everything? Everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hopefully it's not too sorry. Hopefully it's not too blurry for anybody. All right. So advanced computing 2, right? New media used in the communication of architecture. You can kind of think as that as the slogan for this module, right? All right, so we seek to explore new directions in the use of digital technology, right? And this is primarily for communicating architecture. So the idea is that we want to explore beyond the everyday architectural tools and industries. So yeah, you guys have done 4 years of architecture. You know the tools that we use. You know that we produce design drawings, construction drawings. You know about software that we use, BIM software, all that kind of stuff. We know that we produce renderings to show our designs, and we produce diagrams and things like that. But there is a lot of things that influence architecture that's found outside of architecture, right? There is artwork, there is design, there is even video game technology, there is movies, right? All of these things are kind of outside the main sphere of architecture, but it does affect.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Someone's asking that you lower the background music. They can't
All right,
really hear
sorry.
it.
All right. Can you hear me? I wonder if my voice is low. Can you hear me now? Any
Yeah, yes,
better?
sir. We're hearing you. Yeah.
All right, cool. Right. So we have all of these things that contribute to architecture. And this course is kind of like we're going out to explore these other realms outside of architecture and see what we can bring back to architecture and use, right? Speaking of that, let me get my chat message up. Yes. Sorry, I didn't see your message here. All right, good. I probably also need to adjust my volume a little bit to check on that. Get that down. Yes. Okay. All right. Hopefully I'm good now. So there are 4 main categories that we normally look on in architecture. In this module, we're going to look on technology, film, graphics, and storytelling, right? Now, there are many other things that influence architecture that's outside of architecture, but we're just going to focus on 4, and these 4 things are going to branch out as we go along, right? So, for example, if we kind of think of most of the core things we do in architecture, think of it in terms of this is the node. This is all the information we need to produce working drawings and animations and renderings, right? And then, we have the tools that are that we use, like Twinmotion, and give me some other software that we use in architecture. Anybody? Come on, you had 4 years to do this. Give me some other tools.
Yes, sir. Vectorworks, Twinmotion,
Right, but
Unreal Engine.
so Vectorworks is in the core. If we go outward a little bit, yeah, Twinmotion. So you said Unreal Engine, right? That's one as well. So there are these other tools that sit on, I guess you could say, on the periphery, which is like this layer here. You know what I mean? And a lot of them 3D Max and Blender. Any Blender users in the house?
Yes, sir.
Oh, cool. Right. So we have some of these tools. And if we go out another level, far beyond the reaches of space, right? Anybody watch Star Trek, when they go to far outer space, right? So if we go beyond SketchUp and Lumion and Unreal Engine, right? to a totally different realm. That is what we want to investigate in this module, right? Go a little bit beyond the tools that we use in architecture every day and see what we can learn, right? So things like interactivity, things like I don't know, like VR and AI and all of these things that are not necessarily in the sphere of architecture, but a little bit beyond the sphere. And we want to visit out there and see if we can. That is what we refer to as not the everyday tools. And that is what we're going to concentrate on in this module, right? So let's look at the first category of graphics. And this is the first thing that we're going to be dealing with in another couple of weeks. Speaking of another couple of weeks, have you guys heard of what's the schedule for your study tour? Anybody?
So could you repeat?
Anybody heard of the schedule for
No,
your
sir, we
study
haven't.
tour?
Oh, sir, we
We
don't
haven't
know.
heard anything.
Okay. All right, cool. I know that that will also influence us or the schedule a little bit, but we'll have to kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. So the first place that we'll visit on our journey. By the way, you can hear my voice okay? Is it my voice too low for some persons?
It's fine, sir.
Fine for you? All right, cool. All right, great. The first place we're going to be visiting is graphics. And a lot of you I know from DDM days, right? You remember when you guys met me at the beginning of your journey? And I told you that you'll also see me at the end as well. All right. So we did learn a bit of stuff in DDM. And we won't be learning how to use software in this module, but we're going to be exploring infographics, right? And we're going to explore something called architectural infographics, which is a special type of infographics that we will learn how to create. And in order to do this, you're going to have to hone all the skills that you've learned over the years. So all of the Photoshopping and the Illustrator and the InDesign. I hope you guys still remember how to use these tools, right? Right. I know everybody's just agreeing silently, right? Hopefully, nodding your head.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Then you guys did some investigation last semester when we did advanced visualization, and we learned how to combine these different software together. How do we extract information from, I don't know, from SketchUp and then put that in Illustrator and then mix that with another program, right? So, you've had quite a journey of digital design. So I'm expecting that most of us already know how to handle ourselves in these applications. So now we're going to be looking at architectural infographics, which is primarily about communicating architecture in interesting, creative ways. How do you communicate a barrage of information in a simple diagram? And some of you already do this in the form of party diagrams and things like that. So we're going to take it another step further in this module to look at architectural infographics. And that is pretty cool because you see this kind of stuff every day. You look on Pinterest and you look on these fancy, presentations, and you see these cool ways of representing architecture. And that is something that comes from infographics. And infographics is actually something outside the sphere. Remember the sphere that we kind of spoke about here, right? So infographics is out here. It's not something that is that we use in architecture every day, but it's something that we can go out and grab and take back to architecture and use it to help to communicate architecture, right? So that is going to be where the first train stops for graphics. All right. Any question on graphics? Any concerns? I know some of us have heard of infographics before. Nope. Nobody's scared. Okay, anybody happy? Like, yes, I finally get to do infographics. I think you're probably more like, yes, I finally get to finish CSA and I just need to do
Yeah.
infographics.
So this have to deal with also like FPS and those things, like equality, or
Like,
just yeah, like 180 and such. Or no.
no, this is going to be like more like this is going to be static graphics, like if you had to do a sheet layout, but you need to communicate information on that sheet in the form of graphics.
Okay.
It's more something towards that, right? So that's going to be pretty cool, and I'm expecting everybody to combine things that we learn already. So it's not just doing something in Photoshop or Illustrator, but it's something you're going to have to combine all of these things. All right, next we're going to visit the world of film, right? And a lot of, even the video that we saw a while ago, you can see where a lot of film influences has been integrated in that video, right? So we virtual tours is something we do all the time in architecture. So we're going to explore how movie makers use the camera and animation techniques to enhance their story and keep the audience engaged, right? So just like that film that we watched earlier, right? A lot of the techniques used here are things that the movie industry have been using for a while, right? So we're going to look on some of those things, and we're going to take some of those and carry it back to architecture. So leaving from here, when you guys do some kind of virtual tour or some kind of demonstration of your design, I'm expecting you to use some of the things that you learn here. All right.
The veranda.
We're going to be looking on some projects that's done locally in Jamaica that uses film as an inspiration to produce their architectural presentation, right? And this is one of those. We're going to kind of break this down. This is from the Houses of Parliament competition. This one was the Grand Veranda. Anybody recognize this one? This entry from the Houses of Parliament competition? Anybody?
Seen it before, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. I've seen it before.
Yes,
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, lovely. So we're going to look at how film influence architectural presentation. We're also going to look a little bit on photography, right? You just cannot leave architecture school and not be able to handle yourself with a camera. And it doesn't matter if it's a fancy SLR camera or mirrorless camera, or it's your phone. But we're going to learn some things about sun angles, about lenses, that kind of stuff. Just the very basics. It's not a photography course, but photography has a lot to do with what you do in architecture, right? And especially those of you that decide to go further to do your masters, when you start to do courses like critical theories that allow you to think deeply about things in your environment, and you need to capture that that emotional energy, you have to know a little bit of how to manipulate your camera to capture that energy, right? I don't know if you've ever just seen some very simple pictures and there's just so much energy surrounding it. And it's, you need to know a little bit about how you hold the camera, ways to take the pictures, especially video as well. You guys are going on a study tour. You're going to have to take photos. There are technical photos that you just snap to show an elevation, but then there are photos that have to have a meaning, like you want to highlight the entrance of your design, or you want to show what the context has to offer for a particular design. You need to take the photo or frame your photo in a certain way. And the same thing applies to the digital realm. Everybody here has done renderings. Most of us probably have done some kind of animation. The same rules that you use for photography in the real world is the same thing that's applied in the digital world. And you're going to find that when you start applying those techniques, your rendering, your animations is going to be so much more better, right? So much better. And when you apply the film techniques that you learned in this course as well, you're going to find out that you're engaging your audience, right? If you have a walkthrough and a client needs to see it or your lecturer needs to see it, how do you gain the engagement of your audience? I'm sure pretty much everybody here has at some point binged watched some kind of episode on Netflix or some other movie. How do those movies gain your attention and keep it, right? And you don't even know the time flying by, right? So why can't we use that in architecture to get persons interested in architecture? So we're going to look on some of those techniques, right? And lastly, it's going to be about storytelling, right? Communicating architecture is best told as a visual story. So we're going to explore storytelling techniques, what makes a story engaging, the same kind of special sauce that used to make Game of Thrones very enticing, or some other documentary show very enticing and you want to watch it. How do I make my animation or my presentation as enticing, right? So we're going to look at some of those as well, right? And you saw some from the video that we showed earlier. Let's take a look. This is an example of using the power of storytelling to compress 100 years of history into 1 minute, right? So let's check this video out. Let me see if I can play that for you. All right. Pause that there. A little bit of a cliffhanger for you. So to see more, come to class, right? All right, cool. So basically, this was an interesting one because this building had been around for like 100 years, and they wanted to show like there was some enhancement to the facade of the building, but they wanted to, in that animation, they want to show that, hey, this building has been around for a while. So they kind of tied that story in, and then they went into showing what are the changes to the building and all that stuff. So that's a really cool way to tell a story. And if you realize, everything that I'm talking about is architecture. Like, we're not talking about like making another episode or a movie or so. This is things that we do every day in architecture. We need to show our designs. So all we're doing is investigating how we can use other industries to make our industry better, because we don't want to be left behind, right? Nobody is showing like hand drawings anymore or sketches. Not that it's bad, but how can I enhance that with some other things that they're doing in other industries? That's the question that we want to
Sir,
ask. Yeah.
sir, have you like seen the new art style them where they have like the drawings in the drawing, sir? And
Like the
then
drawings.
in the drawing, and the more you zoom in, this is other different drawing in the drawing, sir. A
Oh,
lot of
that
art.
sounds pretty cool. You should
Yeah.
show me that one. Definitely.
Yeah,
I
so
don't.
I'm gonna look for it and then maybe we can show it later if you
Yeah,
find.
yeah, yeah, I can show it. As you know,
Mm.
in our class, we use a mirror board and we use that to share information and stuff. So yeah, pretty sure that opportunity will be there. Right. So still on film, simple things like if you need to do a video for on your study tour to show, I don't know, about the town, about the facades of the building, little things, practical things. How do you hold your phone to take that video? What are some of the techniques you can use to capture that information? A lot of us, when we come from study tour, we need to do like some kind of presentation. Nowadays, a lot of persons do videos, and I don't know how the timing will work out, but hopefully you can use some of the lessons learned from this module to help to show that kind of stuff. So we're going to be looking at some of those techniques, and we'll be also applying those techniques to the virtual world as well, right? So just like how you can hold a camera in the physical world and you have to hold it in a certain way, that same camera is in the virtual world. So we're going to actually have some 3D scenes that we're going to be playing with, and we're going to try and set up these 3D scenes so it's more cinematic. You know what I mean? So it has a nice feel to it, and it makes it engaging and not just, walking through a building in a very boring way, right? So we're going to look at some of these techniques. All right. All right. And technology, right? Now, technology, we won't be focused on technology as a topic on a particular day during the module. Instead, technology is just going to be a part of every aspect of this module, right? Everything from how we submit work to the tools that we're going to be using. We're going to investigate a little bit about AI and how we can use AI to help enhance our designs. Hopefully we get to mess around with some VR. We're trying to get a guest lecturer to come in to do that demonstration. All of that is technology. So technology will be a part of throughout the course. But what we try to do in Advanced Computing 1 is to try and be on the cutting edge of it, right? So we're going to investigate ways of taking notes that are on the cutting edge of how we take notes nowadays, right? Or how we design in architecture, right? We're going to be looking at how video game technology has just crept into architecture, and there's almost no difference between a walkthrough and running down a tunnel in a video game. It's like the same thing. So we're going to be comparing a little bit of that as well. All right. Also, in technology, we're going to also look at how other industries has taken stuff from architecture and applied to them, right? In movies, in video games, there are people that are trained in architecture that are working in theater, right? At game studios, right? Even in music. And it's because there are things that we learn here in architecture that can be applied there as well. So you get me? So this is why this module is set up, because we want to get things from them too, not just them take things from we. You understand? So that in a nutshell is what we'll be doing um in um in advanced computing 2, right? And there is even some of us that may move on to do the master's course, and maybe you want to be on the cutting edge of what's the next thing in the next technology to be used in architecture, right? Hopefully this can serve as a kind of a little stepping stone, and you can pursue that. All right. I know of one student who did that for his dissertation, trying to get them to see if they have any time they can come in and show a little bit of what they discovered in their research, right? All right. Also in technology, we're going to look on what comes after animation, right? Like if you think about it, 2D drawings. I mean, when I went to CSC, I basically was at the like when you have everybody here watch like Avengers Endgame, right? You know? That last scene where you have the grand battle and you know, oh geez, what's the guy name again? The guy with the gloves. Thanos. Right? So you have that grand battle. So when I went to CSA, the grand battle had just finished, right? And Thanos was defeated. And what Thanos is the the old way of doing architecture by doing hand drawings and T square, French curve. Anybody remember those things, right? So so when I came in, all of those were just coming out, and computers had won the battle, and they were just about beginning their journey. BIM hadn't come out yet, but it was, I think, in another 10 years after I finished school, or maybe 4 or 5 years or so, then this thing came called BIM, right? And then, renderings, then animation. So that is where my journey started. You guys kind of started the journey in this new age where renderings is default. Just like how you have an elevation, you must have a rendering. Am I right? I don't know if that's pretty much default now, right? Everybody can do some kind of rendering. And animations are also default as well. It's coming in, not everybody does. Anybody here have done an animation for their final project? Past couple years, anybody?
Yes, sir.
All right, Dante, cool. Mm-hmm. And Jeremy, I see. Right. So, maybe some of us do animations, but maybe we didn't show it. But the fact is that now we're in an age where we're going beyond animation. And we want to look at what comes next. Like, how what is a different way to communicate your design apart from moving pictures? Because, moving pictures was kind of the ultimate when I was in school. You guys are in the age now where moving pictures is the norm, right? The technology, you don't have to render anymore and that kind of stuff. Everything is real time. So what comes after animation, right?
So VR and AR.
True, VR, AR, and interactivity, right? All of that kind of falls under the bracket of interactivity because, VR, you have to interact, and AR, you're doing the same thing, and MR, mixed reality, you're doing the same thing. So everything is under that bracket of interactive, where you choose your path rather than press play and the path is chosen for you. So that's going to form a part of the technology aspect that we look into, right? And it's not mainstream yet, but it's actually here. And hopefully if we have some time, we're going to explore how we can do that. When you deliver your design to a client, right? I mean, how can you deliver an experience to them rather than a video, which is the ultimate? But no, now we have experiences, and software has already started to do that. So we're going to see if we can find some time to look into that kind of technology, and that kind of ties back into video game, because video game is kind of like the ultimate form of interactivity, right? You have to do something, I don't know, shoot something, fly something, so that architecture say, hey, you guys are doing activity, interactivity over there, let me see where I can use that in architecture. All right, so let's talk about the numbers. All right. How do you pass this module? Easy breezy, 10% participation. You guys know about my version of participation, right? We have random class activities. If you participate, you get the marks, all right? We have 20% for theory, and theory is going to be under the topic advanced graphics, right? So that will have to do with infographics. So we're going to have two infographic assignments, and two of them together is worth 20%. That gives you your theory grade, all right? Your practical grade is going to be in cinematography, all right? So we have two assignments for that, the physical camera and the virtual camera, each one of them worth 15%, okay? One of those will involve you going outside. So just a heads up. And remember, we spoke about having a phone with a camera, right? So no bangers allowed in the class, right? You're gonna have to, if you have a bangers, you're gonna have to borrow a phone for that assignment. All right. And our final project, that's going to be our movie that we create. And it's going to be really cool because the movie is going to be about your design studio project, which means that you guys will automatically, perhaps, if you manage your time right, you will automatically have a video animation for your final project, right? If you manage your time right. Cool. But that's the plan. So whatever you produce here becomes a part of your submission for your studio. Pretty cool, right? So that means better grades for your design studio, right?
Sure, but I'm hearing that we're gonna have to do joint design for this semester, so we're paired.
Oh.
So we have to pair up in this module as well.
Well, I tell you what, every semester comes with something new, so challenge accepted. We'll see. We'll see how that works. At the end of the day, I need a movie to mark for you guys, whether that's as a group or together. The last semester, it was optional actually, which was something new that we tried, where you could either work in groups or you could work individually. And I think that worked out great because some persons rather work in groups and other persons rather work individual. So I want to try and continue that trend for this semester. So if it means that most of you are going to be in a group, then we should be good to go. All right. All right. Now, in all of this, there is study tour, which you go away for 2 weeks. So the course has been timed to work. However, the main challenge that usually rear its ugly head in this module is when everybody starts to disappear after study tour. Right? If you can overcome that boss, then you'll have a good time in this course, right? So usually we try to take care of the theory part of the module before you guys go off on study tour, right? And by the time you come back, we're dealing with the cinematography. If for any reason study tour gets delayed, then it's to your benefit because the stuff that you learn in the cinematography aspect of the course can be applied to your study tour. So hopefully cinematography and your study tour is like somewhere intersected, right? For the past couple of years, the modules that have I would say the sweet spot is where you get to do your cinematography assignment while you're on study tour. Because that's great, because when you come back now, it's just like, you've done that assignment already. And the videos that you have to do for your cinematography assignment, you can do it for your study tour and you just, two birds with one stone. So I'm going to try as much as possible to organize that. But, it didn't work last year because there was a great delay with study tour. I don't know if you guys remember that. So that didn't work out. And then I think the year before that
Sure,
was
there might be
COVID.
another one because we don't know where we're going or when we're going. So
I know, but don't worry, we'll make it happen, man. We'll make it happen. All right. We can flex. We've this course has learned to flex in the past. Any course that works with study tour is just like, it has to be very flexible. So don't worry about it. So this is going to be our journey here. The final project will have 2 parts. You're going to do a storyboard and submit it. That's like a free 10%, by the way. You're welcome. And the final screening is usually the final video file that you submit. This module is going to be all digital, so you would submit that final video. Usually we do that in the form of a presentation that's online. And guess what? We usually invite persons from the film course that's over in Skit. I don't know if you know of that module where they learn about what do they call it again? They call it media. So we invite some of them over to watch our movie. No pressure. But they usually like it and it's pretty cool. Right? So, and a lot of them are surprised. They was like, hold on, there's all this movie stuff in architecture. Like they didn't know that you guys do animations and all of these things. They thought that was only in like, you're making a Disney movie or something. So that's always interesting to see. All right. In terms of our schedule, in terms of our schedule, right. Let me try and locate that for you. Computing 2. Okay, here we go. Okay, I probably removed that. Okay, right. So this is what our timeline kind of looks like, right? I know the text might be a little small. All right, so usually between week 1 and week 3, we take care of assignment 1 and 2. I think this time around it might be week 4 because week 1, I mean, this is week 2, so maybe this stretch to week 4. All right. Hopefully study tour is somewhere between week 3 and week 5, or maybe week 4 and week 6 or something. All right. When you get back from study tour, we usually do assignments 3 and 4, which is the physical and virtual camera. And that whole thing normally takes about maybe 4 weeks or so. And then towards the end, we have our final project. And let me tell you, if everything goes according to plan, like literally the last 3 weeks of this module, you're not doing any assignment or any work. You're just working on the final project. And that's great because that means that you have more time for yourself. All right. So last year was a little tight, but the year before was pretty good, and the year before that. So generally, we managed to take care of most things by the 10th week. All right. So we want to aim to do that this time around. Any question on the schedule? Nope. Everybody good with the
No, sir.
schedule? All right. So as usual, if you take a look on your website here. So if you head over to Advanced Computing 2, as you know how we roll. We have our timeline at the top, and you can have an idea of when things are due. So we can see that we have assignment 1 somewhere in week 3, which is going to be next week, right? And then you can see that lasts for 2 weeks, and then the following week. So you're going to have a kind of an overlapping assignment, but it's fine because both of them is infographics. So they kind of need to overlap so that you can apply what you learned with one with the other, you know? Right. So basically you can just follow this timeline to get an idea of when things are due and how long they are due. All right. You just scroll across. I mean, everybody knows about this website already. You use it from like second year. So same rule applies. As usual, disclaimer, things might change, but hopefully there won't be any catastrophe this year and everything will just go smooth and there will be no delays. And yeah, right. We can always wish, right? But if everything works out to plan, then you can see where by week 10, you know, we can just dedicate the last 3 classes to work on study tour, right? I think the semester ends somewhere around April 19th or somewhere around there. So let's aim for that. Okay. Speaking of timeline, at the beginning of every module, I normally show you this diagram, which, where is it? Let me find it. Here we go. No. Right. Who remembers this diagram from when you first did your first computing class? Anybody remember this diagram?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
Anybody remembers, you know, we're kind of reminiscing now, but anybody remember when you were right here, you know, and you're doing DDM and you're doing like Photoshop and Illustrator and, you know, looking back, you guys have come a long way, right? So now you're all the way up here on your way out, right? So I usually do this at the beginning of every module so that you guys kind of know where you've been and where you're heading, right? I mean, you're heading out now, so, you know. But yes, the good old days, right? So just in case we forgot, because what we do in this module is going to depend on what you learned before. So I hope you didn't like format your hard drive, you know. So, you know, first we learn about the major digital tools: Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, SketchUp. What else did we do? We did a little bit of website building, that kind of stuff. Then you went into CAD following semester, where you learned digital documentation. So basically, how do you do your sheet outline and label your elevations and annotations and that kind of stuff? And you did that in Revit. Then you went to the 3D modeling, where you learned how to model in 3D. A lot of us learned how to use the modeling tools in Revit, and that's where we learned about rendering. So most of us did Lumion or Twinmotion, right? And you guys did that little 360 animation, and you rendered hidden line and what was the other ones, and a 3D section and that kind of stuff. Then you went over to building information modeling, where you learned how to use the BIM tools, wall tool, window tool. You learned that you were introduced to collaboration in BIM, right? And you had to build this really interesting model. Anybody remember the M Plus Pavilion? Hope you guys had fun building that thing, right? Right. Yeah. Then just last year, or last semester, depending on how you look at it, you did advanced visualization techniques, right? This is where you learn how to combine different programs together, you know, kind of like how, you know, that cartoon where all the robot parts come together to form a big robot, you know, one of those. There are many cartoons like that, right? So that's what we learned last semester. One of the main things, we learned how to combine different programs together to get your output. And you guys did some beautiful work, especially for your studio-based project. I thought they were great. I hope they worked out for you, where it made your design studio presentations, you know, very nice, because hopefully the styles that you learned, you got a chance to use it on your design studio project, and in so doing collect free marks, right? Because you just had to show me that you use the techniques and I just gave you a grade, right? That sounds like a good deal to me, right? And you also learned about, you did a second round at collaboration. I know that was a little bit tricky, you know. I had to transition to part-time, and you got a new lecturer, and you know, all that stuff, but you seem to have survived. Right? So, and then we're here in Advanced Computing 2, where we're going to learn about diagramming, storytelling, and storytelling for architectural visualization, right? And after this, the world is your oyster, right? Some of you might be going on to the master's course, all right? And others might be going out into the wilderness. Good luck out there. I hope you can use some of the things that you learn in here, right? So that was a quick recap down memory lane, right? So you guys know what's what. All right. Okay, so the main objective of this module is to expose students to other uses of technology in architecture beyond the everyday, which you know already, right? So we're going to identify and discuss contemporary notions of digital technology, you know, modern, you know, well, no, let's use the word contemporary. You know, what's new? You know, there's a big, how you put it now, another Thanos that's coming up, and that Thanos is called AI, right? I mean, it's in everything, and you know, everybody needs to, you can't bury your head in the sand. Everybody needs to figure out how they're going to use it, what are the quote unquote correct ways to use it. So we're going to look at that a little bit in this module, hopefully. That's why I love this module so much, because I get to explore like modern stuff that, you know, can either be for our benefit or our destruction. All right. And then we're going to look at how we can present architecture as a narrative, right? That whole thing of storytelling, right? Remember when you watched that video and you saw that little red block and how it tied the video together? All right. And then we're going to learn a little bit of the tools and technologies to create presentations. So now is where we're going to need a movie editing tool. We talked about that, Premiere Pro, whatever software you use. All right. So that is our journey that we will take, and we are right at the beginning of that journey. All right. So for today's class, we're going to do a little bit of that technology portion, right? We're going to talk a little bit about my board. Go Advanced Computing 2. There we go. Right. Okay, guys, as usual, you already know that let's go to my site. You can get to the mirror board. That's where we'll have our digital whiteboard right there. And sometimes we'll do some activities that will require us to use the mirror board, right? If you log on to the mirror board, you will notice that we have some activities coming up, We have one today actually, which is pretty cool. We have a really interesting one. We call it infographic Squid Games. Anybody watch Squid Games? Anybody? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
You watch the real one or the US one where
both
I
of
don't
them.
watch it? You watch
The
both
real
of them?
one.
Oh. All right, the real one. I haven't watched the US one yet, but I'll try and bring myself around to watch it. But anyway, I won't say any more about that activity. I will just leave mystery to, right? Just come to class and you'll find out what it is. And you even pick up some grade too, like a double bonus. All right. So we have some activities laid out. They're all here. Let's look at what we're going to look on today is we're going to start with being productive in a digital world, right? Most of the things that we'll do in this module, remember that thing about technology? So we're going to let technology be a part of how we actually do the work, how we deliver the work, and that kind of thing, right? And I would say a real staple in this module has been, especially since COVID, it has been, there's this new way of working that's no longer tied to a physical location, right? Everybody here, is there anybody here in the studio? Anybody in the studio? No? Hands if anybody. So everybody is pretty much at home or work, maybe. I don't know. Sounds like everybody's pretty much at home, right? So there's been this new way of working, right? I mean, I am teaching here from my home, my apartment, right? And we've kind of had to adjust not just the environment, but also the tools that we use. So I wanted to kind of start with that because this module is going to be online. So how we work digitally is going to affect how you guys deliver the work, right? So there are 3 aspects that we're going to touch on. What time is it? It's 4:20. So I'll just touch on the first one now, and then the main one we're going to open up is going to be digital note taking, because I want to hear from you guys, especially since after COVID. I'm sure some of us has revolutionized the way how we do notes, do sketches, things like that, and we want to do a quick. Well, I want to do a quick demonstration, and everybody is going to take part in some way, shape, or form in how do we work digitally, right? Especially those of you who will be moving to the continuing studies, master's course, or maybe some other course. The way that we collect information has totally changed, and most persons who I talk to, they are still kind of collecting information in the traditional kind of way. I mean, maybe you use technology, use your phone, you snap a picture of a handout or take a picture of the board or record, but there are like so many new ways of getting information and deciphering it, right? And I want to share this with you because when I did my master's course, the way that you have so much more information dealing with, right? I mean, if you think you have a lot of information dealing with for your undergrad, then just wait till you're doing your dissertation, thesis project. You have like mountains of information, and I saw a lot of people struggling, and even today, because what has definitely increased in the world today is information. Like, don't even mention AI, but if you're looking for something on any particular topic and you Google it, you're like enshrouded in information. So you have to upgrade how you collect and decipher that info. So I want to take some time to deal with that. Maybe that goes into the practical session at 6. For now, I want to talk a little bit about our work environment, right? And there's a little activity that we're going to accomplish today where you will show Like, what has your environment evolved to look like? You have had to do online courses for the last 4 years. So I'm sure that whatever corner of your room or office or place that you've had to work in, you've probably, or hopefully, you guys are design students. I hope that you have made some adjustments to make that process more efficient. So I would want you guys to share a photo of that, just that area, right? And let me show you what I mean. Let me unlock this. Is there anybody on the mirror board? Just like one person? I guess you guys are watching the screen, so makes no difference. Right, so you're going to submit it here. So for example, these are some past pictures of the previous years, right? We started this since COVID, I think, right? This class activity. And, you know, it's just interesting for everybody to talk about, like, okay, this is how I've been doing my studies. You know, I put a screen here, I use my phone, and I use my TV, and everybody have different ways of doing stuff. So that's the first thing that we're going to kind of take a look on, right? See, a lot of people have their game controllers handy, maybe to de-stress, right? So that's always a good thing. Other persons have exercise equipment and stuff like that. No stock footage, please. It has to be original photo, right? It doesn't matter if all you have is literally, there are some persons that use 2 computers. It was interesting talking about this because that's how they worked. Right? So that's our first little thing to look at. How have we adapted our technology and hardware to be productive? And that's the first thing you're going to look at. And what I paste on this mirror board is like, this is something that I've had a conversation with many people about. Like, you know, we have to like actually start taking it serious, like to have an area to work. You know, you can't just necessarily plop a computer down in your kitchen and just say, I'm just going to do classes here. I mean, if you're doing a 3-hour advanced computing tool lecture or practical, after an hour your back going to start hurt you. You're straining your eyes. You need a mouse. You need a surface to run the mouse. Some of us use tablets, some of us sketch. So this is something that should be significant enough for you to start paying attention to it, especially as designers, right? So we looked at some of the different setups for the class. Some people have evolved to using their tablets as their second screen. I think it's pretty much universally adapted now that we need a second screen, right? Is there anybody here that has more than a second screen? Anybody here that has 3 screens? Hands up, people with 3 screens. Your phone count and your tablet count.
Then yes, if those count, yes, sir.
All right. Most people, televisions has become their second screen. All right. So that has been another approach here. All right. I hope pretty much everybody has tablets. So or some kind of mobile device, right? I remember this one here. Did this get here? That's right. This one here was interesting. This was just speaking to some lecturers about some people started to have a Zoom corner, like a corner in their house because they have so much meetings online. I mean, Zoom is now a thing where literally you have a corner in your house for Zooming. It's like how you put the telephone in a corner. Now you have a corner for Zooming. And what are some of the things that you need or use, right? So what I've done is I've collected these things, these conversations, and I've put them here. And going forward, especially going beyond this module, where you're going to do a lot of meetings online, there are some persons who work virtually, I am part-time at UTech now, but I work virtual days as well. So I have to actively think about where, where am I going to work? What are the things that I need, right? This one here was a setup for a lecturer that does interior design, and it was virtually, but they needed to show samples, right? Like if you think about interior design, you need to show textures and samples. And if you're not face to face, then you need to show like the grain in the wood and all of that stuff. So how do you do that? Right? So, in this case, not everybody can break the bank, right? So this person used a cell phone, and they use a camera on their cell phone to connect to Zoom as a secondary camera, right? So that way they could put the samples, and notice that it's using the back facing camera of the phone. So it uses the higher resolution version, so you can see the grain in the wood and all that kind of stuff. All right, so I want you guys to, what we're going to do at the end of today is not something you have to do before our next session. We're going to put a picture. This was a picture a year and a half. This is probably a year after COVID, right? This was what my setup had looked like. I had I stole the TV from the living room, and that's what I use as my monitor, right? And my computer screen, I turned it vertically because I had all these documents and handouts dealing with, right? So this was my approach of dealing with documents. And I have my camera. I like to take photos. So my camera that I use for taking photos doubles as my webcam, right? Before this, I used just a normal webcam. But so a lot of you might have a digital camera laying around. Look to see if it has a webcam feature. You can probably use that as well, right? This table, this is interesting. This is a table that I designed and built. Was pretty cool. This is kind of low res, unfortunately. I need to find the original for it. But it had wheels. It's very thin, so it was about 2.5 feet in depth. And there were some plugs below the desk in this second tier right here. Hold on, let me see. Can you guys see my mouse cursor?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So there were these plugs. On one side, I had a plug with one of those USB ports, and on the other side was a Ethernet cable, right? Because was doing so much things online that you needed a strong connection. Sometimes the Wi-Fi is a bit iffy. So I had like a female jack there that I could plug to my computer so that I'm hardwired into the internet. There are wheels on the bottom because I had to move it all about the place, depending on where the corner is at the time. All right. Erase this. Right. What else did it have? And it was a sit stand desk, so it's not automated that went up and down, but you could use stools. And then what happened is that this part below, so if I'm not using an item, I would put it underneath the desk so that the top of the desk is always free. All right. There's some other little things there. There was a tray here for pens and stuff, because in case of sketch. And there was some smart home technology in there, like an Alexa or one of those sensors and things like that. So it was pretty cool. So this is what you're looking on here as the final thing. And I use it for a number of years after COVID. Actually built this before COVID, and it turned out to be exactly what they needed, right? So the screens aren't on the desk. They're actually behind, and the desk is just open, All right. So that is my experience that I'm sharing. All right. Of course, I've been at this for a while. So that's why, I'm a bit of a technology geek, as most of you already know. So that's fine. So I'm showing you this example so that you guys, just think about like where are the areas that you're going to work and what are the things that you need, right? But also, I want to take a snapshot of where you are now, and I will be looking on some of those and asking like, why did you use this device instead of that device and stuff like that. So I want you guys to, as usual, you're gonna, let's see, let me get a space for you. What about this blank space right here? All right, so I'm gonna copy this. There's my picture. You know how we roll. You take a photo of yourself, stick it right there. Then stick a photo of your current work area here. And the technology that you use. In this case, I use a screen I turn vertically. I use my TV screen, I use my phone, and I use my camera that I use for taking pictures, right? This was my computer at the time, which was a little crazy, but yeah. But now I just have a normal computer. The dust didn't work out with this at all. So this was just a wild experiment. It's just a regular computer, by the way. It's just without a case. It's inside out. But this was pretty much the technology that I used, and this was my design at the time. All right. So I gave you guys some examples. Here we go. I gave you guys some examples of what some other students posted. All right. A lot of persons have their cutting mat there. I suppose a lot of people make models and all of that stuff. So that's all you need is one photo. This time around, we're not going to put it on the mirror board, actually. That's going to be a change that we're going to do for this assignment. So we're not going to put them, rather, we're not only going to put them on the mirror board. Okay? So I want you guys to go ahead and find and just grab that picture for me. We're going to take a break now. And we come back at what, 6? So at 6 o'clock, we're going to look at the main topic, which is going to be digital note taking. And that's one that we're going to dive into a little. We're all going to create digital notebooks. And this notebook is a book that we're going to use for other assignments in the module. So we're going to talk a little bit about digital note taking and some of the advantages. And some of you probably already have ways of collecting notes digitally. So one of us talk about that. And we'll see how far we get with that later. And we'll see if we can go into the first infographic assignment after. But we need to get set up with our digital notebooks before we can move into the rest of the module. All right, guys. So
are we supposed to post the setups here, or in like the instruction says in the OneNote app?
right, but we just stick it here for now. And
I don't think you gave everyone privileges because we can't create anything.
Oh, right. My bad. Let me allow to edit. All right, so go ahead and you can stick it there. Just kind of use this zone right here. Let me put like a. Oops. Yeah, let's try and keep it inside this region here. Hopefully this will fit everybody. We can always extend it down a little more. Yeah, there we go. Right, so most of you probably already used to this kind of activity. When we do stuff in our module, we use the mirror board to do this kind of thing. All right, I'll give you some time to do that, and then we will reconvene at 6 for the rest of today's class. All right. And don't worry about the OneNote notebook stuff. We're going to deal with that when we come back. All right. For now, we just need the picture, your name, work area, technologies that you use, and that's it. All right. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to sign off for a little bit, and I will see everyone again at 6 in another hour and 20 minutes. All right. Okay. All right. Later.
Bro, hold on. Let me left the class.